And now to that horrific drag racing crash caught on camera. The car flipping about half a dozen times. Behind the wheel, the star of a reality show who has been criticized for promoting a dangerous type of street drag racing.
Street Outlaws brought the dangerous underground world of street racing into our living rooms, turning drivers into legends. For our entertainment, these men and women stared down death every time they lined up at the starting line. And eventually, death stared back. Now, we're pulling back the curtain on the shocking, untold truth about your favorite stars who are gone forever. From fiery crashes that left witnesses in tears to secret health battles they hid until the very end. These stories will leave you speechless. What really silenced their engines for good? And what struggles did they hide from the spotlight? Stay tuned, because the details we uncovered about these 10 tragic deaths will change the way you see Street Outlaws forever. Number 10. Lizzy Musi. Before she ever lined up on Street Outlaws, Lizzy Musi was already destined for greatness. Born into racing royalty as the daughter of legendary engine builder Pat Musi, she had horsepower in her blood. But Lizzy wasn't content to simply ride her father's coattails. She wanted to make her own mark, and she did so in spectacular fashion. From her very first appearance, Lizzy proved she could hang with the best and beat them at their own game. Behind the wheel of her sleek pink and black Camaro, lovingly named Bonnie, Lizzy made history as the first female driver to ever win a No Prep Kings event. Her confidence was magnetic, and fans couldn't get enough of the fierce young woman who smiled before every race and let her driving do the talking. But Lizzy's ambitions went far beyond gender barriers. She didn't want to be the best female racer. She wanted to be the best racer. Every pass down the track was another chance to make her dad proud. Another step toward the championships she dreamed of winning. Along the way, she found love with fellow racer Kai Kelly, and together they formed one of the most formidable partnerships the series had ever seen. Then, in April 2023, everything changed. In a heartbreaking Instagram post, Lizzy revealed she had been diagnosed with triple-negative stage 4 breast cancer. The news sent shockwaves through the racing community. The same woman who fearlessly pushed Bonnie to the limit was now facing the fight of her life. And this time, there was no finish line in sight. True to form, Lizzy refused to back down. Even as treatments left her exhausted and weak, she continued to race whenever she could. Kai and his family surrounded her with unwavering support, and the racing world wrapped its arms around her in a powerful display of love. On June 27, 2024, surrounded by her family at her North Carolina home, Lizzy Musi lost her battle with cancer. She was just 33 years old. The racing world mourned the loss of a true pioneer, a woman who shattered stereotypes, broke barriers, and proved that speed has no gender. While Lizzy Musi fought her toughest battle off the track, another familiar face faced his own tragedy while racing. Number 9. Nathan Schaldock. In the world of no-prep racing, Nathan Schaldock was a fearless competitor who earned respect from coast to coast. Known to fans as Cali Nate, he was one of the few willing to load up his rig and travel thousands of miles just for the chance to line up against the best. And more often than not, he beat them. Nate had racing in his blood from his teenage years. He built his reputation the old-fashioned way, by showing up, shutting up, and letting his driving do the talking. When he joined Street Outlaws, fans quickly took notice. First, he terrorized the competition in a big-tire Camaro. Then, he unleashed the infamous My Little Pony Mustang, a small tire monster that struck fear into anyone brave enough to line up next to it. In a sport where horsepower means everything, Nate proved that skill behind the wheel mattered just as much. Then came April 6th, 2024. Nate lined up at Eagle Pass, Texas. The crowd was electric, the air thick with anticipation as engines roared to life. Nate climbed into his car, the Z Unit, ready to do what he'd done hundreds of times before. And then, mid-track, everything went wrong. He hit a rough patch, an unavoidable hazard on no-prep tracks, and at the speed he was carrying, the Z Unit spun violently, swerved, and slammed into oblivion at full force. The impact was catastrophic. Nate had done everything right. The helmet was strapped, the safety gear in place. But no amount of preparation could absorb the sheer brutality of that crash. The next day, his longtime girlfriend, Courtney Paulshock, took to Facebook with news no one wanted to hear. She wrote that Nate had been rushed to the hospital, but he couldn't be saved. He was gone. The racing community crumbled. Fellow drivers, fans, and friends flooded social media with tributes, sharing stories of a man who was as fierce on the track as he was kind off it. He left behind a son, Austin, and a daughter, Michelle, two children who lost their father to the sport he loved. Callie Nate was only in his 40s when he passed away. But before Nathan's heartbreaking loss, the racing world had faced another devastating tragedy. Number 8. Ryan Fellows. 2 years before Lizzy and Nathan's tragic deaths, Ryan was filming a race near North Las Vegas Boulevard and Harry Allen Power Plant Road in the desert, about 25 miles north of Las Vegas. The competition was being held on a straight stretch of road that had been closed for the show. Ryan was a devoted husband, father, and businessman who carried a lifelong love for cars. Away from the track, he ran businesses that helped fund his passion. Ryan was also known to be one of the fastest racers in America. However, tragedy struck in early August 2022 while Ryan was filming a race. That night, Ryan lined up in his gold Nissan 240Z to push for victory. As he neared the finish line, he suddenly lost control. Witnesses said the vehicle rolled over multiple times before coming to a stop. Moments later, flames engulfed his car. Despite efforts to save him, Ryan died at the scene. News of his passing spread quickly, shocking fans and colleagues. Discovery Channel released a statement saying the Street Outlaws family was heartbroken and extended their sympathy to Ryan's loved ones. While racers like Nate and Fellows paid the ultimate price on the track, others like Lizzy were taken by health complications. Number 7. Tyler Flip. Priddy. Known to fans as Flip, Tyler Priddy was one of the original racers of Street Outlaws. He was a passionate racer and spent most of his time improving his racing. But not just that, he was among the first racers who believed in the show, even when others were unsure about joining. He spent his early years working on cars with friends like Justin Shearer, and they built their names in the local street racing scene long before cameras arrived. Flip's car, a 1980s Chevy El Camino, became a legend in its own right for consistently winning races and giving him more fame. However, just as the show began to gain momentum, tragedy struck. On May 28, 2013, Flip died at only 31 years old. His death shocked not just the crew of Street Outlaws, but the entire fan base who had only just begun to know him on screen. The exact cause of his death was never officially confirmed, and out of respect for his family, the details were kept private. Flip's passing was one of the earliest tragedies tied to Street Outlaws. It reminded everyone that behind the cars and cameras were real people with families and friends who carried the weight of their loss. After Tyler Priddy, next is Wayne Smosaneck, another racer taken too soon, this time by a virus that swept across the world. Number 6. Wayne Smosaneck. Wayne David Smosaneck spent most of his life with the roar of engines in his ears and racing coursing through his veins. Born on July 14, 1961, in Jupiter, Florida, Wayne became a fixture in the monster truck and drag racing world. He earned respect from fans and fellow competitors alike for his skill behind the wheel and his warm, easygoing personality. He first made his mark on the monster truck circuit as the owner and driver of the iconic Tropical Thunder, a custom-built monster truck that debuted in the early 1990s. With the Tropical Thunder, Wayne competed in USHRA Monster Wars and events across the country, thrilling crowds with its power and unpredictable antics on dirt and turf alike. However, beyond monster trucks, Wayne's passion for racing extended into the drag strip. He pursued high-performance drag racing later in life, often campaigning powerful cars like his blown probe and racing vehicles in the No Prep King circuit. His bright smile and competitive spirit made him a beloved figure in the pits, where he was as likely to be found helping others as he was prepping his own rides. Friends, family, and fans came to know him as a true racer's racer, someone who lived and breathed motorsports. In December 2021, Wayne's life took an unexpected turn when he contracted COVID-19. Despite frantic efforts by loved ones and continuous updates shared by his wife, Wendy, his condition deteriorated over the following weeks. Weeks turned into months, and by February, his body could no longer recover. On February 12, 2022, Wayne passed away from complications related to the virus at the age of 60, leaving behind his wife, son, and a devoted community of racers who continue to honor his legacy. Wayne's passing left a deep void, but the heartbreak didn't end there. Number 5. Christopher "Kentucky" Ellis. Born on November 7, 1980 in Cynthiana, Ellis grew up around cars and developed a passion for working with engines and metal from a young age. His talent with tools and his quick wit helped him secure work as a mechanic at Midwest Streetcars Automotive in Oklahoma City, where he became a valued member of the racing community behind the scenes. It was this blend of skill and personality that led Street Outlaws producers to feature him on the very first season in 2013, and he continued to appear in episodes through 2018. On the show, Kentucky never sat behind the wheel in competition, but he was instrumental in building, tuning, and repairing many of the cars that fans came to know and love. Whether helping tune Big Chief's rides or tackling custom jobs in the garage, his craftsmanship and easygoing humor earned him respect in the pits and among the Street Outlaws fan base. Tragically, on September 9, 2020, Ellis was found unresponsive at his home in Oklahoma City. He was 39 years old when he passed away. Law enforcement found drug paraphernalia at the scene, and subsequent reports indicated that his death was likely caused by a heroin overdose, with no signs of foul play. The news of his passing spread quickly through the Street Outlaws community and beyond, leaving friends, family, and fans in mourning. Those who knew him remembered him not just for his talent with machines, but for his warm personality, generosity, and ability to make people laugh, even while turning wrenches late into the night. Kentucky is survived by his mother, Loletta Sullins, and 6 siblings, who, along with a devoted community, continue to honor his memory. Next on the list is another racer whose life was nearly taken by a devastating crash. Number 4. Daddy Dave. Born on April 4, 1973, David was known as a key member of Street Outlaws from its early beginning. Fans loved his silver Chevy 2, widely known as Goliath. On every race night, winning or losing was secondary for Dave. What truly mattered was showing up ready for each battle. Dave worked harder than ever and pushed beyond the limits to become the fastest. His goal was clear and simple: to be the number 1 and stay there. But in 2015, everything changed. During a no-prep race in Amarillo, Texas, Dave lost control of his car. The car somersaulted at least 6 times and eventually slammed into a wall, leaving no chance for survival. The crash was one of the worst accidents ever witnessed on the show. With many parts of his body deeply fractured and a car that looked completely destroyed, Dave was left with the choice to quit or to start rebuilding from scratch. Eventually, Daddy Dave chose to rebuild in style. He poured everything into the process of making Goliath 2.0. It felt much stronger and faster than ever before. But the journey of going back to the top wasn't easy. Along the process, he began to think about his family, who were most concerned about him, and always prayed he returned safe after each race. That crash actually reminded him just how quickly everything could change. However, Dave continued on with his work and began to show up and compete on the show more than before. Dave wasn't the only one who faced a life scare that nearly cost him everything. Number 3. Justin Shearer. Justin Shearer, also known as Big Chief, became the face of Street Outlaws rapidly. From the very beginning, he wasn't just trying to be a racer. Instead, he wanted to be a leader of the 405 crew. Fans trusted him, unlike any other person on the show. While other reality shows seemed scripted, Big Chief focused on keeping street racing real. Money mattered, of course, but even more than that, he cared for the people behind those cars. His dream was to make Street Outlaws the biggest street racing show ever, while still maintaining the trust of the viewers. However, Justin's journey was not without challenges. Over time, a lot of things began to change. With new spin-offs, there were additional crew to handle, and new rules to make the competition even more exciting. But to Justin, the new arrangements felt like a huge burden. The demands of filming Street Outlaws and the expectations from fans created a tumultuous environment that affected his relationships and mental well-being. Moreover, street racing is inherently dangerous, and Justin has faced several accidents and injuries over the years. Each incident tested his resilience and determination to continue racing. Also, the competitive nature of the racing scene brought about rivalries and conflicts that further complicated his career and personal life. Justin did not like how the show was shaping the racers, and he left the show during America's List in 2022. He began shifting his focus away from the spotlight and choosing to spend more time working on cars in his own garage. He even revealed the real pressures of being the leader. Just like Justin, another cast member had the chance to pull away on his own terms. Number 2. Jeff Bonnet, a ZN. Jeff Bonnet, better known to fans as AZN, was often introduced as Farm Truck's sidekick. But over time, he became one of the most beloved personalities on Street Outlaws. He wasn't known for being the fastest racer on the list, and he never tried to compete with the heavy hitters. Instead, AZN stood out for something different: his humor, creativity, and genuine love for the culture behind street racing. Alongside Shawn "Farm Truck" Whitley, AZN formed one of the most entertaining duos on the show. Their friendship felt natural and brother-like, built on years of working together rather than television drama. While many racers focused on winning at all costs, AZN and Farm Truck focused on unexpected builds, sleeper cars, and clever setups designed to surprise their opponents and entertain fans. Their approach reminded viewers that street racing was once about ingenuity, not just money and dominance. As Street Outlaws grew in popularity, the environment changed. The competition became more intense, the pressure heavier, and the races more serious. With higher stakes and constant expectations, AZN gradually chose to step away from the spotlight and follow his own path. This decision was not driven by injury or controversy. but by a desire to remain true to himself. Despite stepping back, AZN never left the scene entirely. He remained close to Farm Truck, continued working on creative automotive projects, and eventually co-starred in the spin-off series Farm Truck and AZN, which brought back the fun, laid-back energy fans loved. While AZN stepped away from the spotlight, another fan favorite, Shawn Ellington, balanced his passion for cars with a focus on family. Number 1. Shawn Ellington. Known for his skill behind the wheel and his deep mechanical knowledge, Shawn, widely recognized by fans as Murder Nova, was a dominant force on the Oklahoma City 405 list during the show's early seasons. For years, he raced alongside Justin Big Chief Shearer, serving as both a close friend and trusted teammate. However, life behind the cameras wasn't always easy. As Street Outlaws grew into a global hit, the pressure to perform, travel constantly, and stay competitive increased. Shawn has openly spoken about stepping back from the show's non-stop grind, choosing instead to focus on balance, personal well-being, and what mattered most to him outside of racing. Rather than walking away from cars altogether, Shawn redirected his energy into his own business, 187 Customs, where he could build vehicles on his own terms. There, he returned to the joy of creating. He worked on cars with his dad and son, not just for competition, but for passion and craftsmanship. Without the pressure to win every race or defend a ranking, Shawn rediscovered why he fell in love with cars in the first place. During this time, he also prioritized his family, spending more quality time with his wife, Erin, and their son, Aiden. Activities like snowboarding trips and family travel helped him stay grounded and maintain a healthier lifestyle away from the intense spotlight of reality television. Shawn Ellington remains an influential figure in the racing world. Which of these losses shocked you the most? Do you think the dangers of street racing should be emphasized more, especially in cases where racers lost their lives while filming? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.